Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lebon Ngomalo, and I would like to thank you for making time to joining in today's program, as we will be unpacking the topic Judgment Detox. So, when I actually saw the topic Judgment Detox, I actually asked myself, to what extent am I judgmental towards others? And I realized that because of the fact that I carry a certain perception or a perspective on others, that could actually create that space of being judgmental to others. And to helping us to unpack this topic today is Sister Samantha Fraser. And before I hand over to Sister Samantha Fraser, I just need to give you a little bit or a mini bio about her. So, Sister Samantha is a primary school teacher who spent 20 years working in different countries of Africa, including Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. As a teacher with the Brahma Kumaris, she runs meditation sessions and a variety of self-development courses in schools, hospitals, and other organizations. So, Sister Samantha, I remember the first time I saw you, it was at the Soweto Center. You had actually visited with Sister, I think it was Sister Usha, if I'm not mistaken, or Sister Belinda. And it was a very cold Saturday morning, and it was my first day at the center. And I had a very warm welcome from you. And that's when I actually realized that I need to actually come more often to the center. So today you are going to help us unpack this topic. It is a very big topic, and as I'm handing over to you, you will outline everything related to being judgmental and also how to detox ourselves from being or having that habit of being judgmental. And soon after the topic or the discussion, we will now open the session for a Q&A session where Sister Samantha will be answering all the questions that we might be having, time permitting, that is. And we can also have a little bit of meditation if we can have a little bit of time for that. I am now handing over to you, Sister Samantha.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Lepo. And I remember that day, actually. You reminded me of that cold morning in the center when you walked in. So yeah, lovely to be with everyone and seeing some familiar names. I feel like I'm in with my family today, which is really nice. So the topic is Judgment Detox. And I was asking myself, when did I really realize that I needed a judgment detox? Because I think with judgment, we tend to think that we're justified, that we are right in what we think, and it's often dependent on our belief systems and our values. And so we often don't question, or we can sometimes forget to question some of the judgments that we have. And I remember when I was really aware of how judgmental I was and how many times I would comment on things. It wasn't always harsh, but it was just there all the time. And I think I've shared this on other platforms, but I remember it must have been obviously before COVID. Don't remember, but I attended a retreat in Worthing in one of our centers in England near the sea. And it was with Brother Thor, who was late now, from Iceland. And he did an exercise where we had to choose 50 names, people that we knew, and on one side, write their strengths, and on the other side, write their, not defect, the thing that kind of niggles you about them, right? So when I looked at my 15, I looked at not the positives, that wasn't the exercise, I looked at the negatives. I saw judgment appear about 10 times, right? Judgment. And then of course he said, well, that's your problem. And then I was more conscious of what was happening and how definitely I could feel that, I would comment and I would say something, and often it was in my mind, and sometimes it might have been through my words. And so today I'm just going to really share my own journey with Judgment Detox, still on the journey. But I wanted to just look at this word detox, which we all know on the physical level. And I just wanted to read the precise dictionary definition. And it says here that detox is the process, which we know, of removing harmful substances from your body by eating only particular foods, right? So that's for the body. And sometimes we've done detoxes in different forms. And so I was thinking, what is then this spiritual detox? What's the spiritual detox for judgment? And I was just observing my own self and realizing that it's really about transforming the quality of our thoughts, the wasteful thoughts, which really creates a lot of fog in our own minds. So being able to transform those kinds of thoughts through the virtue of respect. And I really see that respect and judgments and judgment, being judgmental, kind of are opposites. So where there's respect and understanding for someone, then there's I'm not going to be as judgmental. And so I think there are two types of judgment. One where it is a spiritual power, if you like, where I'm able to look at a situation, discern what is right for this moment, what's not right for me, for others. And with that discernment, then being able to take an action to decide, and then this is what needs to happen at this moment. So that's really good, right? It's not that judgment detox does not mean we don't judge, but it's being able to judge fairly and to be able to see what's needed in the moment. So that's the good judgment, right? That's the power. But the other one is what I described in the introduction, where there's a set of unfulfilled expectations, there's a lack of understanding, a lack of acceptance, and it's like our vision then becomes so narrow, and that becomes in a way, our reality about the person or the situation. And so I think the seed of any judgment that is quite harsh or negative is, of course, our good friend, the ego or the arrogance, right? Where we have a sense of being right, a sense that we know everything. And so I'm just going to share my screen and just look at how the different aspects of ego really is, I feel, one of the seeds, if not the main seed of us judging quite unreasonably, let's say that. So we can see that. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And so how does ego show up? And different faces, there's just 4 here. But one is arrogance. So this feeling that I am someone, and I have a right, and that I know I'm right, and I know, sorry. And so and we've all done it, haven't we? We've all felt justified, and we can give you the 10 reasons, and etc., etc. And in fact, when we are in that mindset, in that attitude, we actually don't see anything. Because at that point, our mind is full of lots of thoughts, not constructive. And it's like our third eye is completely shut. So even if there's information coming in, which will help me to increase my understanding, we don't hear it because there's no other perspective but my own. And it's interesting, we were having a meeting the other day, and I'm living in the retreat center in Oxford. It's a beautiful day outside. And it was interesting. There's one particular person that at the end of the meeting, right, we have an agenda, but at the end of the meeting, this person always like says something, and then the meeting goes longer. And it was interesting because we have somebody visiting, and she noticed, actually, she said, actually, you know, what this person is doing, this person just wants to really get the family's attention. It's not really about what that person's saying, but that's the only time that this person can have everybody's eyes and ears on him or her, right? And so it's very interesting when you're able to not just react to or start judging, oh my God, the time, and it's not relevant, which is what I tend to do actually. But to be able to see the big picture that actually it's just this need to be heard, need to be loved. And I think when we really are using the power to judge, we're able to pick up these nuances, we're able to pick up these subtleties and really feed into what people actually are needing. And so different forms of attachment, negative desires, I'm not going to read all the examples, and greed. And we know, I think, attachment is a big one where we're attached to, it's not even, this is an example of something physical, but I think the bigger thing that we often don't see is the attachment to our ideas and our belief systems. And when I don't evaluate them, because often we do have our beliefs and judge and ideas based on our experience, right? So it's not that they're wrong, but then when there's new input, new information that's actually helping me to see a different way and is useful, how often are we able to really say with humility, actually, I need to drop that idea or that belief system, because actually in this instance, it's not right, it's not true. And even if there's one example which allows you to reflect on your belief systems, then it can't be absolute. If there's an exception to the belief system, it's not absolute. And then I'm forced to then look at it. And we know any desires is some kind of unfulfillment. And so that's why I feel that any kind of judgment that's not spiritual is really a cry for help, or an indication that there's a need that I have not fulfilled for myself. And I'm projecting and I'm comparing. And the real question is, what do I need to do for myself? And of course, when there's no self-respect, then the desires are endless. I just wanted to share a nice little quote about judgment. And this doesn't have a name, but every time I judge someone else, I reveal an unhealed part of myself. And that's what I was just saying, that just observe yourself in the next few days when you are in your mind, or maybe verbally with the person, complaining or criticizing or even a comment, what am I really needing? That's a question. What is it that I really need? It's not really about what's happening at that moment. It's something much more deeper. And then just the last slide I want to show is the difference between judgment as a judge's stick and then judgment as a spiritual power. So when I did this retreat with Brother Thor in Worthing, he asked us to give whatever came out on the negative side of all the things that irritated us with the people that we chose. He asked us to create a symbol for it. So mine was judgment. So what's the symbol? And then we had to talk to it. I won't go into all of that. But the image that came to my mind was a judge's stick. It's like, that's it. Locked up and I've thrown away the key, and that's the final word on that particular personal situation. So that's why I put the judge's stick there. And I think when we use judgment in that way, it does create a smoke of waste thoughts. And I heard this phrase a while back in our daily study, and I liked it very much because it's a very good analogy. Because when there's a lot of thick smoke, one, it's very difficult to breathe, but two, your vision is reduced drastically. And when you can't see the whole room, then your vision is very narrow. And I thought waste thoughts do just that, because when you're having lots and lots of thoughts, there's no way you can discern in a productive way. And the end result is that you're just exhausted and you're just tired. And so if we think about the loss, when we are in that mode of judgment or criticizing or whatever it is, comparison, then I think we would think again. What I'm doing now personally as a practice is that I'm paying a lot of attention to what's happening internally, as we all do. I know some of you are meditators for a long time with the Brahma Kumaris as well. But really paying attention to the thoughts that I have in different situations. I live in a community of 20 to 25 people. Lovely. But sometimes, there are things that get triggered. And so what I'm paying attention to are the thoughts that come in the form of criticism or comment or complaint. And then I know exactly where that leads. It just leads to a whole huge amount of waste. And so I say to myself, because the most important thing is my connection with the divine. And so it's just the awareness of how much loss that I'm going to experience by going down that road, which I know very, very well. So it's about really catching a thought at its earliest and being able to stop it. And so it's really realizing the value of our own mind and what we're choosing to create, because we all create our own thoughts. And who wants to be in a room of smoke? You know, you find the nearest exit, you open the windows, even if toast is burning, right? It's not even a lot of smoke, but the windows go up and oh my God, the toast is burning. And so we look for the nearest exit. And so in terms of our own thoughts, that's what we need to do. As soon as we see the earliest thought, can I find the nearest exit out of that confusion often to something that's much more productive? And the opposite, of course, is creating a mind that's powerful and nurtured. And the other aspect is that it blocks humility, compassion, and being merciful. And merciful does not mean that I'm enabling somebody, but really being able to see what the need is. And that example that I shared earlier of, you know, the meeting ends and this person has got a big subject, you know, it's not on the agenda, but there it is. And really being able to see what we all need. And I think that's such a beautiful service, to be really present and to be focused enough to just hear behind the words. And that really for me is true discernment and true judgment, where you're able to see what the soul needs. So one is to be able to discern, to know what the need is. And the second is then to judge, to then take a decision and to act. You've seen it, so then what do you need to do about it? That's the judgment in its purest spiritual form. I don't want to go through all of these. I think it's quite clear, but the very important thing is that it does create separation when we judge, not just between myself and the other person, but within myself, because the nature of the soul or the spiritual being is to connect, to integrate, to be in unity and in harmony. And as soon as we use judgment as a judge's stick, we break that connection inside, and therefore we break that connection outside. And then you have more waste thought, so it's like a vicious circle in a way. And so it causes a lot of distraction. And you can see on the other side, it's the opposite. And I'll take up self-respect a bit later on. And so I think that's it. Just one last quote before we come back is, and I just like these quotes. This is by Wayne Dyer. Judging a person does not define who they are, but it defines who you are. So in that way, it means there's something about myself that I haven't understood, something lacking that I need to work on. And Mother Teresa, very true. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. So, beautiful. And judging in the judge's stick way. Let's come out of there. So there are going to be questions at the end, but if you have any comments, you can write them in the chat, and I'm sure somebody can pick it up later. And so I think what I've really realized is that it really kind of looks at the relationship that we have with ourselves and the kind of self-talk that we have, forget about with other people, but with ourselves. And I think we are our hardest critics. And I think we know that because when we make mistakes or when we forget something, or it can be a very tiny mistake, what is your self-talk at that point? And I will just ask you to do a little bit of a reflection. You can put it in the chat and we'll pick it up later. But when you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? What is your self-talk? Is it, well, opportunity to learn? That's the ideal. And maybe it is for some of you. I had to learn that one, still learning that one. Well, yeah, 99% perfect. It's just one mistake. It's 1%, no problem. That's the ideal. I'm not always there. So I'm interested, what is your self-talk? What is it that you say to yourself when you make a mistake? It can be simple. You forgot to, I don't know, forgot something at the shop or something. So what is it? So you can just write in the chat and we'll pick it up later, if that's okay. So what is it that you say to yourself? What words do you say? Phrases, word, sentence. You can type it. Yeah. So while you're doing that, I'm going to carry on. And I think one of the things that we do need to really learn and practice is just self-forgiveness. And I think that is very much connected to my relationship with myself, where I can begin to put a full stop, let go of the things that I should have done, could have done, didn't do. Doesn't matter. What's important is that I'm able to maintain a positive connection within myself. And what I mean by that is that I'm feeding my mind, or I'm nurturing my mind with good, nutritious, positive, and powerful thoughts, creating a very lovely atmosphere for myself to be in, and therefore others as well. And so for me, I think, just looking at my own experiences over the years, what's been really important is clear communication and being able to increase our understanding. I think sometimes we default into judgment because we don't often ask enough questions. We think we know it, we've understood it. And I think just by taking a bit more time to scratch beneath the surface and understand the bigger picture, that in itself can allow us to be more compassionate, more understanding, and start building relationships and start meeting each other very authentically. And I think the other aspect is also being able to be open to having those conversations that we often try to avoid. And I've had a number of those conversations living here, where people have told me, Sam, I need to talk to you. Okay. And then for half an hour, you're listening to all the things you should be doing and didn't do, or, your personality is this or that. And I've shared this on a few platforms because it was a turning point for me in relationships where somebody asked us to see me. There was some kind of not quite gelling, to put it mildly. And so I said, yeah, I think it's good we have a chat. We kind of clear the air. We need to sort this out, And so, this person is quite remarkable. So much commitment to Baba's work, so much love for service. So I had a lot of respect for this individual. And so she said, it'll just take 10 minutes. Great. It was like 40 minutes later. But in that 40 minutes, something amazing happened. And so, okay, the first 25 minutes, I had to listen. This, I'm this, and I'm like that. And I said, okay, yeah, I was saying, yeah, you're probably right there. Other time, that could be your perception, but anyway, I'm listening. So this was the conversation. Yeah, okay, I could take that on board. Yeah, I can pay attention to that. No, that's your perception. So it kind of went on like this for about 25, 30 minutes. And what was unique was that I wasn't trying to defend myself, which I would have done actually. I have to prove that you're wrong and I'm right, and the ego would have jumped out and all of that. And I was watching this person. I thought, goodness, she is so absorbed in what I'm doing. That's like painful. Where's the connection with God then? If all your thoughts is about what I'm doing or not doing or how you perceive me. And I looked at this person, I thought, and I just said to her, do you know what? And I meant it. I really love you because she's so committed. And then she stopped. And then this tear came down her cheek. And then we met. The whole atmosphere changed. And she said, that last half an hour, it's not about you, but it's because I'm not, what was the word she used? I can't remember the exact words, but I'm not looking after myself. It's something else, but I'm not taking care of myself spiritually, something like that. And then we had a real conversation, and there was increased understanding. And I left the room saying, well, it's fantastic. We had a great conversation until the next time when there's something we disagree about. But the fact that I was open to have the conversation and ready to listen, made me feel that how much of our relationships are based on real communication. How often do we really meet? You know, I mean, we meet in the sense that, we're working together or we're living together. We've got a family and the day-to-day routines and, pick the kids up or whatever it might be. But are we really communicating? Are we meeting? And after that conversation, I was thinking, no, not really, actually, not on that level. And so I really think that and you do feel vulnerable, definitely, because you're being exposed and you're being criticized. But the value in being able to have those conversations to get to a point where there is genuine compassion. And I think when the feelings are genuine, everybody feels that. When we're judging and when we're criticizing and comparing, then the person on the receiving end and the person doing it, both are actually experiencing a huge loss and an opportunity to really meet. And so really having good, clear, open communication and being ready for that moment. So, can I talk to you? You know what's coming. Sure, no problem. But to be really open to and to really see the speciality, And I think for me, when I feel the intention of someone, even if the behavior is a bit extreme or whatever, when I take the time to feel the intention, however long it takes, then somehow I can bypass the behavior, I can manage it, But it's really taking that time to be present, really. And as I shared earlier, I think we need to increase our power so that we're using judgment as a power for ourselves and for others or for a community. And I think it's just that it's really beginning to slow down. I think we just need to physically slow down as well. Because when we're rushing and doing 100 things, it means my thinking is fast. And when your thinking is fast, you're not going to see the whole picture. And you're probably going to default to how you normally do it, default to the old belief systems, the old way of doing things. And so it's about creating space and slowing down, physically slowing down even. I don't think we get anywhere, zooming up and down the road or around in our working environments. It's not really productive. But can I just physically slow down, but also create spaces in my day for more reflection, where I'm able to observe the kinds of thoughts that I'm having. The other day, maybe it was a couple of days ago, and I was sitting in meditation, and this thought came because something was annoying me, irritating me a little bit, and I could feel that I didn't want to lose my own self-respect in this situation. And so the thought came, and it comes up in our daily study, for those of you who study with me daily across the world. And it was this thing, don't lose your manners and your respect in any situation. Because sometimes what happens in relationships is that you can absorb what's coming at you and you can reflect it back. So somebody's judging you, you feel insulted or not seen or not heard, and then you reflect the same behavior back. And it was just, and when I heard that, everything changed. I got instantly, because really, our behavior is really a reflection of what's going on inside, and our behavior is a reflection of the amount of respect or the level of respect that we have for ourselves. And when we just reflect back bad behavior, it's an indication of the relationship that we have with ourselves, and that there needs to be some work on that practically. And so I think just really being in tune with our own inner voice and being open to what comes as a touching. Could even be in a book, but it could also come in your meditation as well. And I think in terms of the detox for judgment, I think the other aspect is humility, and being in a place where you're ready to genuinely, not because it just looks good or you can't be bothered or it's just easier to say yes or easier to give in, not that kind of attitude, but really a deep understanding of what's needed. And if you're around somebody that's constantly throwing judgments or criticizing or whatever it may be, I think one thing that we tend to do is that we can tend to take things personally and then react to that. And often it's got nothing to do with us. Sometimes it has, of course, living in close family situations. But even then, most of the time it's something internal that haven't quite got the words for, but it's coming in your direction or in my direction. And I think it takes a great deal of humility just to be still and to be able to hold that space. Okay, not physically in that way, but on a kind of subtle level, where even my thoughts don't get in the way. And I'm just present and seeing what's needed. And I think when we're in that space, then we can say and do the right thing. I was doing a course with somebody in Nelspruit, actually, and meditation course. And this person was sharing that, she was having difficulty with her partner and he wasn't working and she was working. And, he was sort of, because he had the whole day sort of spending the money on drink and spending it at the bar and all of those things. So you can imagine how she wasn't very impressed with that behavior. So, and what he would do then is that he would keep phoning her at work and just asking sort of random things and disturbing her. So what she did, right? Her own husband, she blocked him. She blocked him on the phone, right? And of course, that just escalated the whole situation. And so she was sharing this during the course. And I said, and then we were looking at, what were his needs and just talking about the situation and trying to look at it from a spiritual perspective as she was going through the Raj Yoga meditation course. And I remember about three sessions later or 4 sessions later, she came and it was on Zoom and she was sharing that, she actually decided to unblock her husband from her phone, which is kind of a strange thing, isn't it? And just that act kind of changed his behavior towards her. It was very lovely the way that she shared it, but she was able to, even though he was a pain, the whole day calling her at work, but just the humility to understand the impact of her action on the situation and being able to take that decisive action to unblock him in this particular instance. And then the impact of that, where he saw that as an act of respect towards him. And it wasn't, I can't say that it was everything was perfect. No, it wasn't, but it was just one step in the right direction. And that's why I think that judgment is really, or respect, true respect is perhaps the detox that we need for the judge's stick judgment to differentiate between the two. And I think when people feel respected and valued and heard, then you get cooperation. And of course, we always know that it starts with my own self and being able to hear and hold and value myself. And when we do that, knowing that the real self is not what you see in the mirror, but the real self is really connecting with the truth, the qualities that we are, that which is constant, the ego, the role of Samantha can change and can be up and down, but the qualities of the soul are constant. And so to have that level of self-respect, because that's permanent, that doesn't change. And so to be able to emerge that, to keep emerging that truth or that reality of who we are in challenging situations, will begin to change, which I see as a habit of kind of commenting or criticizing. Because I think once you feel a sense of wholeness, a sense of connectedness, then no need to comment, no need to judge, right? Because you feel that you have what you need. And of course, not to mention this connection with the higher source would be an incomplete sharing of this topic, I think, because I think being able to see myself, my intentions with more clarity, it's only because of this connection with the divine or the supreme soul. And I think if we make that, if we give ourselves enough time to appreciate the attainments, and I'm going to call it the fortune of that connection, then I think we can begin to let go and we can start to give. And I think part of the detox is really about cleaning out our feelings, because one is the thought, but when it reaches my feelings that, it's not fair, or, or they're insulting me or whatever we're taking sorrow from, and then we're very harsh when we're judging. So when we do that kind of work, because we're responsible for how we feel, that's only possible for me when I experience the love, the support, the closeness with this source. And I think that then becomes the priority. So when you are in situations and for me, I get triggered, but then I think, my God, but I can't, no, this connection is no, because that's such a loss. So much attainments. And no. So this is the kind of conversation. No, because the attainment is just so amazing. And so I think it is about knowing what we want for ourselves spiritually and making that a priority so that we're able to put the full stop a lot sooner. And so I really think the whole detox, in summary, because I'm just checking the time, and it's nice to have questions and a meditation, is really working on this aspect of self-respect and respect. And so maybe a question for you is, what is one thing, right, that you can improve to begin to, or to ensure that there is respect for the self and others? That's my question. So what is the one thing that you can improve within yourself to ensure that there is an increase? One step, respecting others and the self. And of course, maybe the first thing is just having more self-respect. But how? What is it that you can do with your relation with yourself to improve that? Because once you work on having self-respect in a very real way, unlimited way, soul way, then I think there's naturally more compassion, naturally more understanding, naturally the attitude of meeting others more than halfway. Sometimes you have to go more than halfway, for certain individuals, because that's what the need is. And I think that's what we need. People need more compassion. We will need the experience of real love. And the best source of that, for me, is the divine. And once we experience that love, then that's what you begin to share with others in a natural way. And so it's a journey of recognizing what's in the way, what's getting in the way, and then also really understanding what's really important to you. And whatever that is, working hard to preserve that. Many things will come, many things every day, so many things, different things, unexpected things, so many things. but to hold on to what's important and what you value, and to make that the priority. Okay, I'm going to stop there, Level. I don't know if there's any questions. Others, yeah, some people have answered my question about what you do when you make mistakes. Prabhashini's, hi Prabhashini, she's saying be present. She's present with herself, show empathy. Oh, I don't know, maybe that's for the respect question. But Michael, hi Michael, when he makes a mistake, he laughs at himself. And if someone has been hurt, he apologizes. So thanks for that, Michael. And thanks, Prabhashini. I think that's for the respect part, be present, show empathy. Yeah, Lebel, over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sister Samantha. And before we even actually take it further, in a situation where you have to use the power to judge because of the situation, not because of a person, like, sometimes we get overwhelmed by situations, and it is whatever that you hold within that will enable you to view the situation in whatever way possible. Sometimes you can over or misjudge a situation, and it gets to be too overwhelming, and it extends to other aspects of either anxiety, depression, and all that, because of the fact that we didn't hold that power to judge. In situations, how do we now remove that fog that we spoke about, where I can be able to judge situations in a better way, that I can be able to come out of the situation in a positive way, if I can say so?
Good question. I think it's about trust, and I think it's about removing subtle fear, because sometimes we are trying to control even the situation. We think we've done all the research and we have an idea of how it should, what should happen in that situation. But I think it's about being really flexible, doing what you can, as much as you can, and then being ready to make the adjustment. And I think to trust your own self, that you have the capacity to move through the situation, make a change if you need to. And I think often we don't have that trust because we're trying to control it. And that's when I think the smoke and the fog comes, because you can only do your best. You can only prepare to your capacity with the knowledge that you have for any situation. And I think to appreciate that, and then to learn, okay, well, I didn't see that, but okay, going forward, that's something to take on board. I think, for me, I think it's a lack of trust within the self, and forgetting that even when we don't have all the answers for a situation, it's an opportunity to learn and to grow. And I think we forget that because the ego cracks in, and we think we should know, we should have, remembered that and that. We didn't expect that. But I just remember just one story I'd like to share. And this was a person who many of you know, and she'd invited two very young people to stay in the center, one center. And when these people came they were about 19 and 20, their parents were in knowledge, and they were very difficult young adults. And so the parents thought if they stay in the center, they'll get some good vibrations, a meditation center. They get good vibrations and magic, they'll be fine. So, so these two young people arrive, they're invited because the parents are a bit stressed. And when I met them, I thought, it wasn't a judgment, it was just clearly seeing, what are they going to do? These are people that like to be active, and in the morning we're doing the vegetable cutting, and then we're meditating, and then there's a bit of, programs. They weren't interested. Clearly they were not interested. And we spoke, we shared this with the person who'd invited them, and she said, no, but they're in God's house and it'll be lovely for them. And of course it really got quite chaotic. But I watched this person just completely stable, because her intention was positive. And she said, but okay, yes, they do probably need to go back home now, but at least they had time in what she called God's home. And she didn't see all the chaos that was being caused and all the little things that happened, a big thing. She did not see that. what she saw was, okay, she just took another decision. Yeah, they probably had enough. It's time to go home. No problem. But that was her comment. At least they had time in God's home. She went beyond the chaos to pick out the positive. Sorry, that's a long answer, Lebo. But I think that's what it's about. You know, she trusted that there was something, although it didn't look like it from their behavior, but she trusted that there was something of benefit in that situation. And I think that's true. Even if it doesn't look like it, there's something. No matter how difficult, there's something, and that's what she looked for. And so therefore she found it. Often it's so easy just to look at, and we were going, oh my God, it's chaos. Oh my God. And we were looking at the chaos, right? But she was looking at the benefit. And that was unique, you know? And so she was stable throughout because of what she chose to focus on. Does it make sense, Lebo?
It does. And for me, if I can say what I took from this is that when you mentioned that we need to slow down, it could be a person being judgmental toward us, or it could be a situation. Slow down and emerge the truth. Because during that time, I actually hold what is real, which is what is the real truth of who am I. And what I took also is that during that time, I'm able to connect with the divine, which will actually now give me a better perspective of what is happening during that time. And then I don't take external factors that are happening. I jump connected to what is real. Yeah. So I think, thank you so much for that, Sister Samantha. I think we have time for meditation. I'm not too sure if we're going to have a commentary or we're going to...
whatever you do, I can do a commentary. You can play something, whatever you do, Lebo, I'm easy.
All right, we can have a commentary.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. So we can just sit comfortably, really, and a chance to reflect on and connect with myself. So just sitting comfortably and relaxing the body completely. Relaxing my legs, the muscles in my stomach, letting go of any tension that might be in any area of my body. Just allowing myself to turn inwards and connect to myself as I really am. And as I do that, I find the space within myself that is still and silent. And it's from that space that I'm able to really see myself and see others. And in that seeing, there's a depth. And there's an inner knowing of my true state, of peace, of love, and of wisdom. And it's these three qualities that give me the sight to see things as they really are, to go beyond the surface of words and actions and behavior, and to connect with the feeling, to discern the need at the time, and to use my connection with the source, with the divine, to fulfill that need for myself and also for others. And so I'm able to align myself with God as the ocean of peace, the ocean of love. And in that alignment, become a channel, a flow for that love or peace in my relationships, with myself, with others, but also with the environment, with those different situations that emerge. And so the effort is to be present, to be still, to be silent. And in the silence, there is sight, and there is the connection eternally with myself and with the divine. And that's the priority. Keeping this connection throughout the day so that I can really discern what to do, when to do, how to do. And all that requires is a foundation of trust, a foundation of understanding, a foundation of accepting. And so in the silence, just to ask yourself, what's the one thing that I'm taking from today's sharing? What's the one thing that stood out for me today? Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And if you were joining us for the first time today, please visit our website, and you can see the website on the pamphlet, or you can be able to see our information from our website as well, if you want to see which center is your closest. And to you, Sister Samantha, thank you so much. It's been wonderful again. Thank you so much, everyone. We can now play music just to close off with the meditation. Thank you. Over to you, BK.
Thank you.
Come, take a ride with me to paradise. Heaven's in your heart beating inside. You're alive, the great divine, older than time. You are loved, yes, you are loved, and the stars in our sky, billion-year-old lights light up the sky, and you can feel the universe through your heart, the divine design of you. The time has come for you to honor the miracle of you. And you are so beautiful, the way your body moves and holds it all. Your heart lights up hearts, and your love illuminates our world. You're so to honor the miracle of you. Oh, the road's been long, and the heart is strong. Let your love lift you up, let your heart rocket you to honor the miracle